I'm going to buy a house.
I want to be filthy rich.
It's like without having it written down, or actually talking out, fleshing the whole thing out. It's not going to happen.
So if you don't have a long-term vision, visualizing it. Okay, now let's do the visualization, the power of attraction. Picture yourself in that house. Look at the Redfin, look at locations of the house you wanted. So now when you have that in your picture, before you go to work, you're energetic because you're doing something consistently and you're building for it for that house.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're gonna get started. Welcome to the new agent Q&A or agent Q&A. You got your host here, John, with Joan, and we got a special guest, Albert. We're gonna do something a little different today. We're gonna talk more about the topics of things that is consistent with work, but the outside factors of that, right? So, what are you feeding yourself? What are you putting in your mind? How are you being consistent? And how does that relate and reflect back onto work, right? So, our first topic is food.
Yeah, it's funny because this whole topic of conversation actually just came up because we were literally talking about food,
right?
And we're talking about our relationship with food, and talking about how that impacts how we view it, what we choose to eat, if we can eat the same thing every single day, meal prepping, all that good stuff. Which, not how's that relevant to work? I mean, the thing is when we started diving into it, we started talking about it's actually very relevant because of the fact is when you develop a certain type of consistency with how you treat food or how you look at food or how it impacts the rest of your day, those decisions that you make impact your type of results that you get.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely no different from what it is from work.
Mm-hmm.
From work, everything that we do, because I was actually just talking to an agent and he was talking about a roller coaster. He's like, yeah, I just got to deal with this roller coaster of my career.
About just FFL.
He just said roller coaster of a career. And then, not in a condescending way. I was like, is it a roller coaster of a career or is it the roller coaster of decisions that you're choosing to make for your career? Right.
Yeah.
And then I know he's a smart dude and he took it, he was like, no, I get it. It's totally my decisions. And I'm like, I understand. And I'm not trying to be condescending here. I just said look, the decisions that you have been making, I just want you to get it quicker and to really cement that idea in your head that you're in total control. You're the one driving this thing. So if there's inconsistency or if it's a roller coaster of different things, it's also a roller coaster of what you're choosing to do or not to do.
It's true. Because when you're saying, I just got to get over it, you're kind of letting go of control too, right? You're just like, it'll pass, but you're not going to do anything to change. Right. So speaking of food, on the changes,
if we can just dive into that statement just a little bit, I just want to let go of it. The thing is, it's such a control thing, and it seems like a very nothing kind of thing because it seems inconsequential. But even that little phrasing, that little bit of phrasing, the thing is, it does take away some power from you.
Yeah.
To say I just got to get off of this thing. It's you're the one in control of this thing.
And when you say that, I just got to get off, what's the time frame on that? You think it's going to happen in 3 months, 90 days, 6 months? Or if you made the control and decide now, today, I'm going to take control of this roller coaster ride, I'm going to drive it, you can stop it today.
Yeah, mentally, you're giving up the control that you have over this thing because you're saying this thing's taking me for a ride. Where in reality, if you can just come to grips with, I've driven it the wrong direction this entire time.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you can actually fix it quicker. If you're saying this thing's taking me in a wayward direction or it's taking me all over the place, it's okay, now I have to reestablish that I need to get control first. I need to regain control where in reality, you've been in control this entire time.
Mm.
So I think it seems like a minutia kind of thing to talk about the phrasing, which I used to think what's the big deal? I just said it and it's not what I meant.
It's
psychologically, it's
subconsciously too.
Starts drilling into your head and you start losing a little bit of control.
Yeah. So speaking of that, with the control in the food, okay, so out of us three, who can say they can eat the same thing every single day? So let's say we're trying to be in a strict diet, right? We were talking about Rob Deirdrick, and his diet is chicken and broccoli, almost like lunch and dinner, right?
Yeah.
Chicken, broccoli, and vegetables.
I think all of his meals.
All of them?
I mean, at least two out of the 3 meals a day.
So
same time every day. And we're just talking about, because we listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
It's about the power of attraction and the laws of attraction and how you can manifest things into your life by being disciplined and following a certain path. And if you take those steps, you can get there, which it totally made sense.
Yeah. And he's legit. He's like on hour per hour. He has like blood samples, food. So he knows how to like see on the macro levels, like where did I go wrong? Why am I sick here? All these things. But speaking of the food, would you be able to handle?
No, not me. Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah, Joan and I were just talking about like, if I had to, I the discipline part of it, I could figure it out, but I feel like it just takes away from the joy of living for me,
right,
personally. And then you said you could do it, right?
Yeah, because like, and then I came back and said, it really comes down to your relationship with food, and this is going to apply for you with your relationship to work. Do you live to eat, or love to, or live to eat, or eat to live? Right? You guys live to eat. You love having different choices, different tastes, and all these things. And you mentioned to me, yeah, my senses, my taste buds are not the highest levels. So for me, I can live just eating the nutritional factor of the food, eat it, down it. Man, my sisters, my siblings, they hate me doing this. When we have our Filipino parties, right? There's multiple foods and things. I prefer using one bowl and mixing all the food at once. Mixing all the food, because I tell them, so like, oh, why are you like mixing soup with like meat and like some other type of soupy thing all together? I said it all comes down to one mouth, right? Different taste times. Shove it all in.
You can literally eat like a bowl of gruel or like slop, right?
In fact, actually, remember our bet one time?
Oh yeah.
I won $100 bet with Albert one time.
Would you do?
And our friend Lily, because there's this food.
Wait, I was thinking, is it the chicken nugget?
No, not the
No,
chicken nugget.
It was
The
something
stinky tofu
disgusting.
diet.
Stinky tofu, for those that haven't had it.
Geez.
It's like,
What did
it's
you
supposed to be
do?
like a Chinese delicacy, which
It smells.
I've never tried until shortly before we challenged John.
Yeah.
Like my friend Lily and I went to lunch, and then we're like, haven't a bunch of people been talking about the stinky tofu, and I'm like, just the sound of it's
smells
disgusting.
Bad. Yeah.
It smells like fart and pee and
Rancid,
armpit,
yeah.
and it's not good. But then like for some reason people enjoy it. So then like I was like let's try, because speaking of the relationship of food, I mean, like, I enjoy trying different things. I enjoy being adventurous when it comes to eating. And then when it, like, there hasn't been really anything that I've not been able to get down. Right. Even if like I don't enjoy it, I'm just like, it's a different culture. I should just try it. I want to explore my horizons, expand my horizons a bit. So then like we tried it, and I was like, I could not get it down to save my life. Like
You had one bite or one square.
Yeah, I popped in my mouth, and I was like gagging. My eyes were watering. I was just like, I gave it another try, because I'm like, I'm not a quitter, right? And I just tried again, and I just couldn't get it down. So eventually, like Lily, our friend, was able to get it down, but she didn't enjoy it.
But she didn't eat the whole thing, like 2 of them, right?
She ate several pieces.
Okay.
Because she was like, is it really that bad? And she had to go back for it, because like it's a lesson learned.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so like, I couldn't get it down. So then Lily and I, we challenged John.
So we were having a conversation, and they started talking about it. And then I said, and I could eat it. She's
Very
like, no
confident.
way. Albert's like, no way, man. I could barely get it down. Lily tried hard for it. I said, bet you $100 I could eat it. And Albert's like, convincingly, bet no way you can eat all of that.
Yeah.
And then Lily, of course, she's meticulous with things. All right, so here's the rules. Can't dip it on anything. You can't have any soda. You can't drink anything but water. You got to eat the whole thing in one sitting.
And if I could give a little backstory, John like is notorious for not being able to taste things, because like everywhere we go, we're like, he's like, what's that? And then he'll eat it, and then we're like, did you like it? He's like, can't taste it.
Yeah. So my number one response would be, it tasted bland to me. Everything's bland. So I only have 2 main factors. I judge things. I don't have any other taste. Before 9, I can differentiate, but it's either salty or sweet. If it's neither, it's bland.
But wait, hold on. Like, why can't you taste
I
stuff?
can, but it's just like,
Oh, okay.
It's a very underdeveloped palate. And I also think I think, and part of it's probably mental. He probably doesn't care that much enough about it.
And then
That's a huge part of it.
right. So if it's like
you've
in
already told
between,
yourself that's who you are, and that's just like a characteristic of you.
So unless it's super salty where I can really taste it, or super sweet where I enjoy it, anything in between, it's whatever. It's bland. I can taste it, but it's nothing to where it's like, oh wow, this is great.
And when we used to have to make decisions on like where to go to lunch and what to eat, like his entire like thought process was based off of what's the maximum amount of protein that he eats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or dessert. What's in the dessert part?
There was even this one time like I made a turducken. I spent this whole day like making a turducken, made a bunch of sides, and
Thanksgiving.
I crafted a bunch of like side dishes around it,
Yeah.
made like ancillary dishes just to like complement the whole thing. And he comes by and he's like eating. He's like, "Oh, it's bomb," and I'm like, "What are you eating?" He's like, "Oh no, I can't tell the difference."
I was like, I can't tell the difference. I don't know which one's turkey, which one's chicken, which one's duck. They're all the same to me. They're proteins.
It's like sweet potato.
And plus there was sauces in it too, right? So like it all tastes the same. Like for Alba, he would know the dark meat versus the white meat and all that.
Yeah, I like to be able to distinguish what I'm eating and like understand the history of it, the culture of it, the subtle details of it.
Like for me,
Yeah.
I'm counting the macros. All right, this is 16 grams, this is 20 grams. All right, I need 150, subtract the 25 here. Cool. That's it. So I'm eating for the nutrition part instead of eating to live, like tasting it and all that.
Yeah.
So back to the sticky tofu. So they were like, all right, we're gonna order this. We go to the restaurant, right? They're all nervous for me. They're like, oh man.
I wasn't
Can't wait.
I wasn't nervous for you. I was actually enjoying watching you about to suffer.
Yeah, that's what they were like excited. Like, I can't wait. He thinks he can just like eat this. He's gonna gag. He's gonna tear out of his eyes or
Like,
whatever.
"Ah, this is gonna be so good."
Tricked them.
What to do?
This is the relationship that we have too. It's like we play little harmless pranks on one another, and we enjoy giving each other a hard time because it's like it's all love, right? So so we enjoy when someone else suffers to a degree.
Yeah. Yeah. So the food comes out, right? So it's like fried tofu, but it's fermented with like a little bit of soy sauce, and it comes out in little squares. And so it comes out in a like decent plate, 8x5 plate.
What does it smell like?
It smelled pretty bad. Like the restaurant knew as soon as they take it out, they're like, what the heck was that? What's going on here?
It stinks to high heaven.
Yeah. So think, I don't know, like old diaper smell,
Oh my
Right?
God.
like think
Old
have you had
diaper.
those diaper little opening box thing where
Yeah, the diaper genie.
the diaper genie, yeah. So imagine
Been there
opening
for a
that up,
while.
right?
Well, it's fermented for a very long time, so it's like protein breaking down
Right.
over time, right?
So think of opening the diaper genie before you get rid of it and it smells bad.
And you gotta
Right.
eat that.
So I would say there's at least like 20 little small squares in soy sauce, right? So they're all looking at it. They're thinking about, all right, I'm gonna take my first bite, right? I go in, play it all cool, looked at him, do the aftertaste. I'm like, man, y'all messed up. I started eating it.
No
They
way.
thought,
Yeah.
they thought I was gonna suffer.
God.
Y'all, I didn't say y'all messed up. I said y'all effed up. I just started chewing it.
Like he tried to fake us out at the beginning, like he was like suffering. So y'all messed up.
Did it
Only
really not taste like
$200.
anything to you?
No, it tasted like. That was bad.
Well, because I would just say, like, sometimes for me, like when I eat, it has to do with the smell.
Yeah.
Like,
I can differentiate, or I can shut that off.
oh, you're so lucky.
I couldn't do it, but then like I was amazed to watch him just be able to take
Yeah.
it down so easily.
And then Lily was like, "You can't have soy sauce. You can't have any dipping. You can't
You're like,
drink any
"Okay."
soda." And she was just like, in disbelief, like, "Can't believe he's eating that."
I know.
I'm all like, "Man, I had this before. Something similar."
Yeah, I was waiting for him to like choke up at some point, but he knocked it out.
Yeah, like later on that day, though, every burp I had,
Ew.
bad. I was like, "Oh, what is that aftertaste?" It'll go away.
So I mean, I think this is it seems like it's gone completely off the tracks of what we were originally talking about, but there was a point to this whole story. And the point of the story.
Well, yeah, what was our point? So it's in our relationship and our consistency
Yeah.
with food, right? So going back to what you're doing, what you're eating, and how does this apply to work? If you're putting the right things in your body, you create energy, right? So if you're doing monotonous things, it might take away energy from you, right? So go back to your relationship with work, right? Do you live to work or you're working just to live? So if you have a mind state of, am I just going to work so I can pay my bills? This is not fun, right? Or if you enjoy the conversations with clients, you enjoy helping families, and now you're excited to wake up in the morning. I have a new conversation with the recruit. I have a new conversation with new clients. I can help out with their needs. You're going to come in energetic versus, I hope I don't get turned down, rejected, and this client cancels on me and I can't pay my bills tomorrow. Now you're built up, waking up tomorrow with worries.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to look at it to where you got to have fun. It creates energy, because creating the energy will create consistency for you, because now you're having successes, right? Now you're enjoying successes into the business. But if you're so fearful, you're scared, what can you do? You're starting off at a bad foot.
Well, I also think like it's important for you to frame it in the correct way mentally.
Mhm.
Because the thing is, as John mentioned, are you working to live or living to work? The thing is, no one wants to work,
Mhm.
right? No one like wants to be like, hey, I just want to work and then I want to die,
Right.
right? It's like it's a very unattractive concept. But the thing is, you when you work, it's because you have a bigger purpose, right? Sometimes I think for the most part, most people don't have a big enough goal, big enough vision for why they're working. So their immediate goal obviously is just to make money and get by.
Yeah.
To pay bills, to just survive. Right. And that'll get you far enough along, it may motivate you just enough to be able to do the minimum. But now you got to think of a bigger goal. You got to mentally frame it and be like, I want to do this because I want to buy a house, or I want to take care of my parents, or I need to make enough money for my family, for my kids to go to college, or whatever it is. So if you actually just, instead of saying like, I'm doing that to work, I'm doing this to take care of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Like then at that point, it makes it much more palatable.
Yeah.
Speaking of food,
Mhm.
it makes it much more attractive for you to want to like get up and go to work and put in the extra time and put in at least the minimum effort and then go beyond that.
Yeah. So having a bigger vision then, right? Because if not, you're thinking about the current situation. If you don't have a bigger idea of like, what am I working for, then whatever this BS is happening right now, you're not going to go over and go through that. Right. So going back to food, if you had a diet, okay, if you have an end goal by the end of the year, then you have a vision in mind at the end of the year. Okay, I want to lose this much weight. Okay, maybe it's palatable to be on a chicken diet, broccoli diet, because you have an end in mind. But if you just decided, yeah, this is your prison sentence, food sentence, right? Delivered to you on a daily, and you don't know why you're doing it, why you're eating, it's not going to be enjoyable, right? So you got to look at it that way at your work. Okay. And looking at it in the bigger picture of just not at work, from your habits, your relationships to anything. One, you got to identify, why am I doing this for? Two, what do I get out of this? Because and then three, really, when you summarize everything and turn it from a motivational goal, you turn it to a discipline, and then now you create systems. And this is kind of like what Rob Dyrdek was doing.
Yep.
He just like, he had the power of law of attraction. He visualized things. He said he saw a hypnotist. He saw a hypnotist to train his mind and to basically hypnotize him to be a billionaire, right? To all these things. And then he started jotting them down. He started just writing all the little things of what was happening. So he went from 4 seasons into his TV show, and he visualized doing 30 seasons, even though they might have gone down within 6 seasons, and he made it happen. Right.
I've heard of something similar for like people that struggle with like other traumas, where they like go back and they reassess like their previous, like, let's say, childhood traumas, and then they work on those to be able to like move towards like their end result or their goal that they're trying
That's
to
true.
attain.
There's a lot of people
So-
with food traumas.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I think our past is what helps us to shape what we want our future to be. Right. Because the thing is, I mean, think about all the people that say like, I want to be filthy rich.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, the people that are just super driven. It's like, well, something in their past motivated them to be that way.
Yeah.
Right. It's like they saw their parents struggle, or they remember getting bullied at school for being poor, or whatever it is. And there's some type of compulsion within them that
Yeah.
drove them to that point.
Yeah. But then let's go back to the part we were talking about, like imagining it, envisioning it, and having a longer time frame of things. So define filthy rich. So when you were poor, what does filthy rich mean? Like maybe just having food on the table,
Yeah,
having bills paid,
maybe making 80,000 a year. You feel like you're filthy rich because it's all relative.
right? Or maybe having even just $1,000 into your bank account because never had money.
Yeah.
And so when you don't have a definite, immediate like goal in mind, written down like specific goals, how do you reach it? It's just an imagination still. It's still, I'm filthy rich.
Well, which is why it's important for you to actually flesh it out. Because the thing is, like you recognize, oh, I hated that feeling. Right. These kids picked on me, or I hated that feeling of watching my parents struggle, or whatever it may be. The thing is, you could be like, okay, that means I need to get financially sound. Right. I need to have a game plan to do that. Yeah. And then it can't just be like, I'm just going to work really hard and make a lot of money. It has to be like, okay, this is my first step. I'm going to just make up this amount of money a year and then have this much of my savings. Yeah. Or be able to invest in this. And then once you get to that point, then you can be like, okay, what's the next phase in which I need to grow my wealth or whatever.
Those are clear numbers though, right?
Or have a very clear plan as well, which is really interesting because this weekend, my kid asked me like, okay, if I want to have 3 kids in the future, what do I need to do now? What do I need to do now? You know what I mean? So
and your son's only what, 15, 16?
He's like 16.
Wow.
Yeah. So then it's like, okay, well, then you're thinking that you want a big family. So then you need to make money and be able to have like the financial stability to be able to be in that position for your future, So it's kind of like the same thing.
Is he timing the years or how old he'll be when he wants to have kids?
In a sense.
Wow.
More mature than I am.
That's pretty good, man.
Sheesh, you know what I mean? But no, what I'm saying is that because I was talking to him about like, you've identified you want a big family. So then in order to have a big family, you need to have XYZ. So like, let's work towards, like what you're gonna, I don't know, like how you're gonna save up your money, like what kind of, you know what I mean? So then it is like setting up small plans for them, right? So it's the same thing when you're coming down to your business and maybe doing this career change for many individuals where like Albert was saying, like his agent feels like they're on a roller coaster, but it may feel like that for a lot of agents, I would say. Yeah. Or because most of these people are changing their careers.
Well, just taking that example, if you really wanted to improve your business, the thing is you have to kind of reverse engineer it. Like, because in Joan's situation, it'd be like, okay, if you want this many kids, here's roughly how much you need to make per kid. Yeah. And then like, how are you going to do this? And then how you can make this type of money over what period of time? Yeah. And then you can actually reverse engineer a lot of this stuff and then start with that way. Yeah. We could do the same thing in this business. Yeah. Totally. Right? Yeah. Like when people say like, I want to pay off on my debt or I want to be able to save enough money for a down payment to buy a house. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so how much does the house that you want cost? Or how much is your total debt? Let's go into full details on that because that's a good situation. So let's use California. Yeah. So what do you think is the average cost of a house now in California? Would you say 700, 800? I would think like a million. Let's use like closer to a million, but let's say 750. No, let's use the rough numbers then. Let's use a million. Yeah. You want $1 million home, which is actually crazy enough. It's like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath somewhere else. If you guys are not in LA, you'd be like, what? Yeah, $1 million home is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. 1,700 square feet, 2,200 square feet, basically in a decent neighborhood. You could be in the hood and it'd be like 600,000-700,000. Yeah. It's all location. Yeah. This area right here, California, Carson, California, across the street. Yeah. 600 to 700. Right. So we're going to use $1 million flat line. So I'm a new agent, Albert. I want to get $1 million home. I am starting with 0. So let's reverse engineer this, right? Yep. So let's look at the house. Okay, if you're going to do a conventional loan versus a FHA loan, what is the minimum you need to save up for a down payment? Let's say 20%. 20%. So now we need 200,000. Okay. What about putting things, furnishing the home, and all that stuff, right? How much would you add? I think a lot of people are very glib about that and just be like, let's figure it out as I go. But the thing is, you're going to have an empty house, right? Yeah. Yeah, I have a buddy. We just went to a party. He said one of our buddies just got a new home close by to our old office in Carson, Paramount area, and nice neighborhood, gated community. You know where Celeste used to live, around that area. Oh, yeah. Nice place, $1 million home. Nothing inside it. Well, he's a single man with the roommate. Which that's also a lack of planning, because the thing is, a lot of people can be like, I just care about getting the house and I'll figure it all out from there. But the thing is, if you don't have a plan as far as generating the type of income to take care of the things that you need, what's probably going to happen is you're going to end up going to debt, put
Yep.
stuff on credit card, and then you're going to fall behind, and then you might end up losing the house because you can't make the mortgage payment because you got caught up in all this other stuff.
You got caught up with the one target, but you didn't add extra buffers. So $1 million home, 20% down, 200,000. Now you got a home, you got to furnish it, bed, probably some fixer upper things, unless it's the turnkey home.
Stuff.
Add another what? 50,000?
Sure.
Okay. So now you need 250,000. What is our 250,000 goal for a new agent? Take it away.
250 to make 250,000.
Save 250,000.
I mean, you probably gotta aim to make 350, 400,000.
No, so now let's look at it the timeline, right? You got to look at it first. Okay, do you want to go off the bat? Are you brand new? Do you have any sales experience? How fast do you want to achieve these goals? You can achieve them in a couple of months to a year. Just depends on how fast you want to move, right?
Yeah.
So let's do end of the year, 1 year in, right? Okay, so you need to make 300,000. Okay. 250, yeah, 350,000 because you still have
You
other
still
bills.
gotta live.
Yeah, you still got
Yeah.
your bills. You still got your car, lead costs, and all these things, right? Okay, so let's aim for 40,000 a month. That'd be fine to say.
Sure.
That's doable. Save a little bit, spend a little bit.
It's doable. It's not easy, but it's doable.
But
Yeah.
but can we save if we make 40,000 a month? Can we save 250 by the end of the year?
Yeah. I mean,
Because you'll bring in 480.
now this is the thing. You also have to plan on what you spend. You gotta
Correct.
budget yourself.
There's the discipline
It
in that.
can't be like, hey, I'm making 40,000 a month,
Yeah,
or
and
whatever
you're
it is.
spending
It's Disneyland every day.
I'm balling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Because
Disneyland every
we
day.
have seen that happen.
Yeah, man. Agents get a big fat paycheck and it's gone.
Oh, I'm gonna buy a car now. And then it's like, I don't have money for gas.
Unless it's electric.
Planning.
But yeah, you still gotta pay for your electric charge, right? All right, so 450. Wait, 480 is the end goal gross.
Yep.
Right. So you gotta gross 40K and then you're saving up 250. Doable. Because you're spending about 200,000.
Yeah.
Right. Additional bills. So how much should an agent to make 40,000 spend on leads then?
1,500, 2,000 a week.
Okay. Yeah. Doable, right? So you take out 8,000, you're making 40, you're bringing in 32.
These are all hypotheticals, by the way. I mean, it's doable, but I mean, not guaranteed results. Just
Right.
put that
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, it's just all game planning, right? Like it's still based on the agent, based on their skill, based on actually going to work and how much time they put into work, right? How they collect referrals and high ticket sales and all that stuff. But yeah, so that we're putting in 8,000 to 10,000 in leads. We bring in 40, we take home 30, right? What about Uncle Sam?
Which that's just the tax day coming up, right?
Yeah, today is the tax day and tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
The 18th. They
Yeah.
gave you a couple extra days because of Easter.
Thank you.
So any variables that you guys can foresee that we need to change our goal so far?
Yeah. So I mean, either you got to pick up the intensity of it, or you got to push out the timeline a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, like maybe push out the timeline a little more, or it just pretty much depends on how fast you want to see the result, like a duration of their plan.
Yeah, I think the first step then is to really visualize
Yeah.
the feeling of getting it, but at the same time really putting the time frame. Because like if we start today, can you hit 40K in 30 days? Is that realistic? Possible? Yes. Realistic as a new agent?
Well, I mean,
Depends.
it really depends on the level of commitment of that agent, because
Yeah.
as far as what we do, it's nothing like super complicated. It's just a matter of putting in the work, and you're going to learn. You're going to make some mistakes along the way. You're going to get punched in the mouth, but not physically, but
Yeah.
But you're
Yeah,
going
like
to,
it's gonna be tough, but if you're there consistently doing it and you have that consistency, you're for sure gonna get your results. sooner
But
or later.
I just want to throw in maybe like a ramp up time, right? To learn the ropes, maybe 60 days.
yeah. I mean, I guess if an agent's
I don't
going
think,
to take a leisurely pace, I
30
mean,
days?
it really comes down to like how committed you are. If you're purchasing
yeah,
leads,
because if you're
you're going to go to work, right?
if you're like an agent that purchased your leads and you're on there working your leads every single day, and your goal is to close out at 400K, then yeah, you wouldn't have the time to be really slacking off on your investment of your leads if
And-
that's your
and
goal.
It's not even
You know
necessarily.
what I mean?
I'm sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off, but it's not even necessarily that because I bought these leads, it's going to work out because I already know what I'm doing. It's more like you're going to learn along in the process.
Mhm.
So by virtue of you having all these extra leads and having enough activity, the thing is your skill set's going to continue to develop. You're going to have a better understanding of how this business works, and you're going to make the adjustments. Because the thing is, people don't want to make the adjustments generally when it doesn't work out initially because they're just like, maybe this just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right?
They're blaming other
the doubt
factors.
creeps in their head, and then they blame external factors rather than trying to take personal responsibility and figuring out, all right, what do I need to adjust to make this thing work?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking like first 60 days, maybe your first month, 20, second month, maybe a 30, move
Okay.
up, and then
Fair.
and then
Fair.
You can ramp up.
Yeah.
3 months, third month in, you're running 40K. If you're really doing everything right. So we either expand the time or you just bang out. Right. But
Yeah.
formula so far that we have, okay, wherever the time is for the 250,000 you want to save up, you got to have leads. You got to spend a lot of money on leads to get a lot of
A
AP
volume. yeah.
coming in. Okay. Any other tips you would say, reverse engineering things? Any other variables you can foresee?
Well, I think
And this is just personal production too, right?
yeah. Like the first would be probably to envision it. Plan from there.
Well, I mean, I think there could be a ton of variables. I mean, I think this general framework we laid out, it's realistic if someone genuinely commits.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to work if I don't feel like it, I'm not going to do it, or I'm going to do it for a little bit, then I'm going to start changing up a bunch of different variables at a time. You can't track what's actually working, what's not. So I mean, I think the point of this whole exercise, it's a good thing because like initially we said, let's do it in a year. We'll make the 20% down payment. Where in reality, it's like, had we not actually laid out the
Mhm.
numbers and actually like, start thinking about it, start talking it out, and actually like, if I mean,
made
we're here
sense,
talking about
yeah.
it, but you should write it down.
Yes.
And as you're writing it down, then you're looking at it, you're like, and to talk to a few people about it, they'll tell you whether or not this is realistic, whether or not it's doable, whether or not you're actually capable of committing to this
Right.
as you as an individual, which is probably the most important variable. And then, once you start talking out, then you're like, oh, okay, maybe that won't work. Maybe we need to extend this out, or maybe we need to lower this here and make the proper adjustments. But the people that go into it blindly and just say like, I'm going to buy a house.
I want to be filthy rich.
It's like, yeah, without having it written it down, or actually talking out, fleshing
Happen.
the whole thing out, it's not going to happen.
But really, this first exercise though is really what you need to get you over the hump of fearing of, oh, I'm scared to make my first dial. Right? Because if you don't have a long-term vision, visualizing it, okay, now let's do the visualization, the power of attraction. Picture yourself in that house. Look at the Redfin, look at locations of the house you wanted. So now when you have that in your picture, before you go to work, you're energetic because you're doing something consistently and you're building for it for that house. Versus, okay, let me clock in tomorrow whenever I want to work. And then you wake up, let me drag myself. Let me take a long shower. Let me eat coffee first. Let me have a breakfast. And the next thing you know, it's 2 p.m. You haven't
Yeah.
dialed, you haven't called. These are things that are going on with agents that are literally lost. They don't have a source to go towards. So that's what we want to get at is, from your food, what you're feeding yourself. You got to have your relationships to things. You got to have a vision into things. Why are you doing what you're doing on anything? So we're running out of time. Any last words you want to address before
Yeah,
we finish?
I just want to bring up one last analogy that Joanne and I were talking about earlier too. When it comes to the relationship of food, which we're trying to equate this whole thing with relationship with work. But when it comes to food, there's a benefit to eating the same thing consistently, right?
Oh yeah.
Because the thing is, your body starts to get used to it. It knows what nutrients to extract. It recognizes like how often, at what intervals it's coming in. It could be much more efficient,
Yeah.
right? Joanne and I don't necessarily live our lives that way because it's not because like we love to eat and we can't, we have a problem with food necessarily. It's more like it adds to the robustness of my life, and I feel like it's additive. So for us, I'm like, that's also the risk that you run by being inconsistent with what you
Right.
eat. If you're choosing to try different foods and you're trying to eat different things, the thing is, your stomach may not agree with you.
Yeah, man.
Like you could get bloated, you can get gas, it could impact your skin health. It could do a lot of different things. And the thing is, these are all risks that you choose to take. It's like, I'm okay with like being inconsistent with that particular aspect of my life. But the things, you also got to take responsibility. You can't be like, I don't know why my skin changed, or I don't know why I got this rash, or I don't know why I'm gaining weight. It's like, it's all decisions that I choose to make, and I gotta live with the results.
Right. It's true. My last thing is, it all just comes back to if you're eating, and whatever you're eating, what are you eating for, right? So same thing with working. What are you working for, right? So it starts off with visualization. You're visualizing what you're doing. Okay. Do you want to visualize? I want to go to different, Michelin star restaurants. Okay, great. You love to eat. Well, let's get there. Right. So same thing with work. You want to build a house? Okay, let's get there. So you got to visualize, because the visualization will give you guys the motivation, right? The motivation will get you guys to start. Now, once you start, your consistency will create your discipline. And then once you have your discipline, now you can create a system. Finally, once you have a system, this is what Rob Dyrdek talked about. Now you have optimization. You can figure out in your system how you can make it efficient. You can't start that without having a vision, because you're just winging things and you're doing whatever, whenever, right?
I know. I think Carlos has like issue with America or something like that.
Yeah, Carlos just said, we appreciate it. He's recontracting back with Americo, and we'll talk to him. We'll text him on anything else. But he said he just liked our call. Good looking out, Carlos.
By the way, we can see if Yoel can add the link for the podcast from Lewis Howes interviewing Rob Dyrdek.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's really good. It's long. It's 2 hours, but it's really worth it, because, like, man, from Rob Dyrdek's like selling, he knows like beta, he knows everything. He knows about the business. He's legit. Like the words he was saying, like, oh, okay, he knows what's up.
Well, he's valued over 500 million or something.
Yeah, man, this guy's closing into $1 billion. It's crazy. From a skateboarder at age 14.
I was totally impressed. I just wouldn't have looked at him or seen all the stuff that he's been in and think he's this disciplined, and this financially successful.
Yeah. And then he talked about like legacy planning, like he's talking about like multiple generations, like he's setting up like trust and all that stuff. Wow.
Yeah.
Listening to him talk about his plan totally makes sense why he's able to grow this massive a business.
Yeah, he has like 100-year plan. It's nuts. So thanks for joining us, guys. See you guys next week.
Bye, everyone.